Hello, I'm Lenore Lambert. I'm the author of The Buddha for Modern Minds, and I figured if you've clicked on this link, you might like to hear a little bit about the book, why I wrote it, and perhaps what's in store for you if you decide to read it. So I initially wrote this book for anyone who has a curiosity about the Buddha's teachings, who perhaps senses there's something really valuable there that might be useful in day-to-day life, which there absolutely is. But either doesn't know a lot about the teachings and doesn't quite know where to start, or perhaps has started to explore the teachings and found themselves either confused, overwhelmed, or turned off, actually. And all three of those things were part of my early experience as I began to explore the teachings. So my journey with it started out probably similarly to many others, of just grabbing a random book off of a bookshop shelf. I think I started with Buddhism for Dummies and a couple of others. And there were some intriguing and terrific ideas in there, and a bunch of stuff that didn't gel and had me feeling confused and unsure about whether this was really practical and relevant to modern life. So some of the ideas that people can struggle with and that I struggled with are things like hearing that life is suffering and that this somehow leads us to happiness, or hearing that in order to be happy we need to detach from our experience somehow, which doesn't seem like a really fulfilling approach to life. Some classic ones that modern Westerners struggle with are the ideas about the cosmos from ancient India. So ideas like rebirth, for example, which many people struggle with. Ideas like pleasure is a problem or passion is a problem. And so luckily I had access here in Sydney to some fantastic, really knowledgeable and quite secular in the sense of non-religious, but also in terms of meaning of our time, contemporary. Secular comes from the Latin saeculum, which means a lifetime. So it also refers to our time. So I was lucky and I was able to ask what seemed like a truckload of questions over the years, and many of them seemed quite dumb at the time, but I asked them anyway. That's as I do. And so combined with some retreats, many retreats actually, lots of reading, podcasts, workshops, attending Buddhist meditation groups over the course of about 10 or 15 years, finally got to the point where I felt like I could get my arms around them. And so when I heard new things, I could place them in context. And when I heard things that didn't gel, I could understand where they came from, and perhaps the cultural source would explain why those confusing concepts were coming my way. Because the Dhamma, which is the teachings of the Buddha, it comes to us through 2,500 years of cultural interpretations and translations and embellishments from a variety of different cultures throughout Asia. So it's no wonder really that by the time they get to us here in this time and place, that there are some ideas that have attached themselves to the teachings that we might find hard to deal with. So about 15 years into my journey, I started teaching and giving Dharma talks at meditation groups. And I started having this experience where people would say to me, either during the talk or afterwards, "Oh my God, I have been so confused about that for so long, and you just explained it to me in 2 minutes in a way that I get it." And so I started, this was a recurring experience I was having. And in fact, one guy from my own meditation group told me I was a Dharma super coach because of the experience he had like that. These conversations would often end with the person asking me, could I recommend for them a good introductory book for beginners that was secular, so not religious, and made sense in our place and time. And the problem was I just couldn't. All the ones that I'd come across contained these confusions that took me a long time to resolve. So in the end, that's pretty much why I decided to write it, so that people with those curiosities don't have to take 10 or 15 years of exploring and finding people to ask all their dumb questions to, and that you can get straight to the heart of it. So the book is actually in 2 parts. The first part is the result of that truckload of questions. It's trying to answer all of those questions and confusions that tend to arise for newcomers to the Dharma. And then the second part of the book is a deep dive into the 4 core planks of the Buddha's teachings, which if you grab a random book off of a bookshelf at a bookshop, it'll probably be called the 4 Noble Truths. I call them the 4 Great Tasks because that's the way the Buddha talked about them in the earliest recorded version of his teachings, which is the Pali Canon. He talked about them as insights to be understood, to be practiced, and to be accomplished. They're not ideas or theories to be known or truths to be known. They're insights about the human experience to understand, practice, and accomplish. And so they're very practical. And I bring them alive with lots of stories, with cultural references of our time and place. So you'll see Sesame Street's Cookie Monster in there. There's Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and a few others as well. And I try to bring it alive from my own experience as well. So the ways that I've used the Dharma to help me deal with difficulties in my personal life, in my work life, and also in my experience as an elite masters track and field athlete, which I've been now for the last 10 years. Within a fairly short space of time, 5 years, I went from starting masters athletics to being a multiple-time world champion in a couple of events and breaking a number of Australian records and what have you. And my Dharma practice was a huge part of that rapid learning, as well as the rapid ability to deal with the challenges that throws, not just the physical challenges, but the mental and emotional challenges that come along with the inevitable disappointments and challenges and frustrations and, failures and everything. So I really try to bring it alive because the Dharma is it's a way of life. So if any of that sounds relevant to you, grab yourself a copy. There's a link below you can click on to buy it. It's available at all good online bookstores. And if you're interested in applying the teachings, I'd encourage you to subscribe to my website as well, which is flourishpersonalgrowth.com. And that way you'll stay across all of the tools and programs and activities and information that I'm going to be sharing with a community of people who are interested in really embedding this stuff in their lives. So I hope that's of interest to you, and if so, I look forward to seeing you on the path.